Hello everyone, this is Charlotte and this is a podcast called Chatting Cars. I drive to work, you listen apparently, and then maybe you'll leave a comment, I don't know. It is Monday and I've got this week and next week, and then I'm on school holiday, so I might have a break after that for 2 weeks because I got some other projects I need to work on. Sorry to disappoint if anyone's actually bothering to listen. There is a disclaimer at the start of this podcast because I do talk about sensitive topics and I do go on tangents about them, so it might start on one topic and I do tend to move on to others, mainly because of the weird way I think, but that's me. I also swear profusely because I enjoy it, basically. Get to know me a bit better, you might find the different ways in which I swear. So, different situations probably. Anyway, so today's Monday. Everybody's highly motivated, hence the reason I've chosen the topic of motivation, which I did not have over the weekend. So, oh my god, I had the worst food nutrition day over the weekend. I just, whether it's hormones or just tired or I don't know. So, I've chosen today to do the topic of motivation. Maybe I'll do one on discipline as well, which I don't tend to have these days for the weekend. Coming up to the end of term, everybody's tired and stressed. And I just seem to be eating anything I can fucking find at this point. So, interesting. Is it hormones? Is it stress? Who knows? I don't mind so much because I used to be anorexic. So I'm like, as long as I am eating, that's I don't want to, starve myself like I used to do when I was stressed. It's probably for the best, really, isn't it? So if you ever want to know about what happened to me with anorexia, go and look at my podcast. It's, oh my god, it was one of the first ones I did, I think. Must have been. Today is Monday. Let's have a think. What is motivating me to bother turning up to work today? I want to ennoble it and say that it's the kids and how much I love my job. But I don't know if anyone actually really does love their job when they're getting particularly tired and stressed and they just want some time off maybe. As a relief teacher, I don't get much. As a relief teacher, you don't get long service leave or days off or sick days or anything anyway, so any kind of a break is interesting. I when we have public holidays and everybody's forced to stay home or, away from work, I get a bit pissy because it means I can't get another day's pay in there. Not that I'm materialistic, it just pisses me off that they try and control us like that. It's like, you want a day off? It's like, no, we fucking don't. I want to pay my rent. I want to go into work, stop closing shit. I've got jobs to do, I've got, goals to achieve. So, motivation. What motivates me? Oh god. It's not a nice thing. Or is it a nice thing? It's definitely a transformative, constructive thing. Sorry, my starter's kicking in already. I've only had one coffee. It's anger, basically. For me, it's anger. If I was a nice, fluffy person in, what drives me, most people would say, oh, what motivates you? Oh, my kids. Or, oh, some kind of social good. At this point, the main thing, and if I'm being absolutely honest, it's my anger. I've got, God knows how many years of stored trauma and anger and just getting pissed off with people treating me like shit. And so I transmute that into getting shit done. And if you want to go into it, I've probably got some kind of intergenerational rage stored there as well from, God knows how many women down my family line get fucked over by men. But, we tolerate it, don't we? As long as you're using it for good, not evil, I think it will work out. Then yeah, what is evil? There's another podcast, what's good and evil? Oh my god, I gotta write that down. But yeah, it sounds horrible, doesn't it? Because you're like, you can't just channel rage. But if you think about it, like the Hulk, I love the Hulk. He's one of my favorite Marvel characters. By the ends of the movies, they started going, oh, I'm always angry. What was his line was, I'm always angry. That's my secret, sort of thing. It's like, yeah, but he doesn't use it for like evil. Unless you're talking about like collateral damage that goes on during the cities, that's kind of bad. People just dying. Because I bet there were some civvies there that didn't make it from their little, attacks on these so-called aliens. I bet there was some liabilities there, but, he doesn't go around, mass murdering people because he's angry. He goes around and he tries to defend cities and things, doesn't he? We hope. He's not just, using it as a vehicle to outlet his rage, really, does he? As long as it gets done, does it matter? So I look at things like my childhood and I think, what did I have in my childhood? What made me angry? What upset me? What was not deserved? Maybe it's not, most kids will say, obviously they won't say because they're kids at the time, but looking back, you can look at some of the things and you go, I didn't deserve that. I didn't need that. That was a lot of extra shit put on me that I didn't deserve at the time. So you want to look at it as an adult and say, how can I change that now? I lived in poverty, obviously, but that was because my parents were not great at any kind of money thing. My dad was fucking useless, and my mum scraped together to get by, and she had 4 kids to raise at the same time, so you can imagine. Neither of them, I think, planned particularly well for what was going to happen, and it was a lot of just winging it, I think. My dad would get a job, and then he'd quit on a regular cycle after a year or two. And so we're in and out of the welfare system constantly. It was up and down, up and down. My mum didn't cope with that well, anger-wise, frustration-wise. And the two of them just together were toxic as fuck, and they took it out on us, so as kids. So, yeah, it's a fucked up dynamic. Would I replicate it in my adult life? No, not if I can help it. But they didn't plan particularly well. So as an adult, I'm sitting there, I'm taking that stored rage, and it is rage at this time. And rather than burying it like my mum encouraged me to do, she just fucking, she found a way to sort of not beat it out of me, but beat it down into me. Any kind of emotional outbursts was, put down violently. Particularly if you looked at her in the eye, She was one of those not authoritative, but authoritarian parents. My dad he was physically there, and he just, whatever, man. He was either a berserker or he was ignoring us. It was a weird dynamic there as well. He wasn't allowed to hit us, but my mum definitely was. That was the ongoing rule. But my dad did every other thing. So, sans, kiddie fiddling. But he was emotionally, psychologically disturbing. So when it came to it as an adult, you look back and you go, what did I miss out on as a kid? And I gave myself a second childhood. I just did. I got to my 20s and I said, I didn't get to do this the first time properly. I've got money, disposable income. I'm going to do it again. I'm going to do it properly. I'm going to get what I want, do what I want, and this time I'm going to do it without the violence and anger and all that extra shit. So that worked out kind of well. I don't think I actually made any progress as an adult because I had to backtrack and go through the stages. If you're looking at Piaget and Bruno, which is theorists in education, child development, then they're looking at development in stages. Okay, you've got to get your basic Maslow's hierarchy of needs met, which is like food, shelter, safety. Then you can start developing psychologically. You can start developing a sense of identity, all the higher echelons of development, obviously. But I had to backtrack because I had missing parts. I didn't have the childhood thing. I had people, abusively telling me who I was. And if I deviated from what they said I was punished physically and aggressively and violently. So it was not a very nurturing environment. So I went back and I gave myself a second childhood in my 20s, which put me back as an adult because financially, we're all buying all the toys we wanted and that we never got, right? We're all getting snack packs that we didn't get to eat when we were kids and living on Nutella and doing horrible things to our body because we know, as a kid it sounds interesting and exciting and it's fun. But as an adult, it's not really responsible. So that was my irresponsibility era. But I did manage to get an apartment. I got an apartment by the time I was, 30. I had an apartment. I was sharing an apartment with my ex-husband. We bought it together as our nest. Again, bad judgment. I lost it because, divorces and shit like that. So I owe myself, and that cultivated a sense of rage as well and anger because I put all myself into getting all this shit together and trying to perfect myself as an adult, which is impossible. It's impossible. You can't. You're never going to attain perfection. It's like you can stress yourself out to the max to try and get everything fucking right and hope to God you don't turn out like your parents, but ultimately you won't necessarily turn out like your parents, but at the same time you won't get it right. You just got to live with that. Everybody's got human error. It's human error. We're not going to get it right because shit happens, and that is such a common phrase. I know when everyone says, "Oh, shit happens," it's like, just that doesn't mean don't try. You should still be trying to reach, some kind of level of attainment where things work and things are healthy, and you've actually got something to show for your efforts and things like that. But ultimately, if you're stressing yourself out because you feel like you've achieved nothing, even though you've been putting in all the work and you have actually got physical things, and that's half of my existential crisis, is I don't feel like I'm doing enough. And I swear that comes from my mom, because she'll be on my back telling me, fucking keep marching, right? If you ever have one of those moms, it's like just zero sympathy, empathy. She's like, I don't give a fuck, you're doing it, go. It's like there was no softness there at all. There's no room for margin of error. So I'm pressured now, and I pressure myself to do it, to keep going, to keep achieving. Achievement wasn't celebrated either when I was a kid. It was just expected of you. It's like, well, I'm surprised you didn't do it anyway, sort of thing. It wasn't a case of, I got a merit certificate, oh wonderful, we're all going to come to your assembly, it's going to be great, and oh, we're taking pictures and all this fun stuff. My parents were never at my assemblies. My parents went to one of my uni graduations, maybe two. I've got pictures of them in 2. I have 5 degrees. They didn't bother with the other ones. They're like, oh yeah, we've done this before. Merit wasn't celebrated, it was expected. That was the standard. And if you failed, by God, you got fucked. My brother failed his TEs, what they call entrance exams into uni. He failed them. He did a bridging course, but he wasn't just pressured into it. He was told he was doing it. He was, pretty much forced into it with his uni. He took a bridging course as an adult sort of thing, semi-adult, 18, 19. And that's how he became a teacher, because he's ADHD. He's got the concentration span of a goldfish. I don't blame him. That's how he's structurally made up in his brain. But he needs seemingly a lot of extrinsic motivation. It's people telling him how to do it, or that he needs to do it, or prompting him. I think that's because he's so scattered on the inside when it comes to getting shit done. He wants to do it. I know he does. He's highly motivated. But he's just so overthinking everything that he can't place where he needs to start. Whereas I'm the opposite. I'm autistic. I've seen the regimented sort of pattern I need to follow. I see the steps. I know the plan. I'm going forward. We're going. It's like, when that works for me. But to the degree where I get stuck in a rut of rhythm and I have to finish something, I have to finish it. Because if I don't finish it, I'm going to lose my shit. Which is good. But if my brother and I get together on a project or anything like that, it usually, it complements each other, because he'll allow my rigidity because he knows it gets somewhere, and I'll allow his sort of, his ability to just gather information and then present it to me, and then I organize it, right? It's a good team thing there. He's got good ideas. He knows what he wants to do and what's required, but he needs help putting it into play. So yeah, if you ever get, it's an odd pairing because it's like polar opposites, but it works if you can get the right steps together. So my motivation when it comes to things like projects and things, again, is anger-based, but at the same time, it depends what it is, because I will also work with my brother really well, providing it's a fun activity, or I deem to be a fun activity. We've done a few things now, I think. I'm trying to remember one. But there's a few things like, putting up, renovating his house or something like that, some shit like that. It's always fun, creative things where we get to go to a trip to Bunnings. And we're always going on like this little mission to Bunnings, like, yeah, we're going to go get a coffee. You're going to go get a sausage and a piece of bread or whatever it is. The Bunnings snags that they do, like $1 for some charity, I don't know. It's a ritual in Australia. If you haven't been to a Bunnings to get a hot dog from, and $1 Coke, then you haven't lived. I don't know. But we're always going up like the wood aisles. There's an amazing smell in the wood section. I don't know. It's weird. I just feel all project-y, and I love it. But yeah, it's so motivation could be, some kind of feeling attached to it as well. It doesn't have to be a negative negative feeling. It could be a positive feeling. Maybe you're excited about something. Maybe you just want to get the job done. Maybe you've got, or in his case, he's got a passive-aggressive wife who sits there over his shoulder and tells him he needs to do something. But the way in which he gets the project done is that he enlists me and we go to Bunnings. It's great. Yeah, there's lots of ways of getting motivated. Even if someone's been horrible. I mean, you think about people like who've gone through horrible experiences in high school. Maybe they were bullied, maybe they were picked on or something like that. Taking that anger that you've got from that, the frustration and the feeling helplessness, and using it as rocket fuel to get yourself and shit together, can be incredibly motivating. I mean, think about Henry Cavill. I mean, everybody fucking worships this guy as this incredibly attractive person, right? Apparently. I'm not picking on you, Hank. I'm just saying it's overdone. But, you know, he apparently got picked on for being fat. I mean, I was fat in high school. At 15, and then I developed an eating disorder. And then my life sort of shifted that way. It's like suddenly I was deemed attractive, and I was like, I don't get this, but okay. But at 15, I was chunky, man. And he was too, apparently. So, you know, and you get these assholes that treat you like shit, and you know, just nasty, horrible people. And then you use it as motivation. I went the wrong way about it because I developed an eating disorder. Because I thought if I was, you know, part of it was stress and part of it was trying to, you know, cater to the masses, I expect, and try and get some kind of approval where I'm finally accepted, you know. As a ASD kid, you're always not accepted. Or maybe you are, because these days it's sort of celebrated as being quirky. I always hung out with the weird kids because I felt more comfortable there. But from 12 to about 15, I was definitely not comfortable in my skin because I was chunky. And the reason I was chunky is because I used to have to steal food. There's it's a clusterfuck of weird shit happened in my life when it comes to things like that. But I have a feeling with, like, Henry Cavill, he would have used that as motivation, not just to, I don't know, lose weight or get healthy or some shit like that. Because later on, he went on to, you know, do all the whole movies and shit like that. It's like uber motivation. I think, honestly, looking at him, he's still insecure about his body, I think. Just the way he sits and the way he stands and walks and things like that, you can still feel that he thinks he's still a fat kid. Which is sad, kind of, because he's achieved so much, but at the same time, it's like you never really lose that insecurity, but you can channel it into something that's more healthy, really, because I don't know what he's like health-wise, because I heard he eats a lot of junk food still, which I actually approve of, but, you know, it's like, that amount of stress on that body, you've got to find a way to relax that, because he's doing all the weights and shit, and I know what that fucking shit's like. It's painful. But he transformed it into something that was good. I mean, he took maybe all that emotional pain, hopefully, I hope. If he's never been to therapy, maybe he's taken that emotional pain and he's channeled it into a constructive lifestyle or a constructive life. And also given, you know, like side quirks, like he's into Warhammer and stuff like that. He's maybe giving motivation and, you know, prepping up people to do the similar thing who are not necessarily jocks or athletically inclined or something like that. He's like a hybrid. You know, my ex-husband was a hybrid as well. He was like a nerd and a gym junkie, gym rat. And it's good because it sort of, you know, gets rid of all those sort of stereotypes where you have to be one or the other. You can be both. People are like a rainbow of different things. You don't have to pick one thing and stick with it. It's like I was a goth at one stage, for fuck's sake. It's like I was the worst goth. I'm way too happy all the time. I'm way too bubbly. You watch me in the gym, I'm bopping along with pigtails and pink tights, you know, something, woo! I'm just hyper as fuck on pre-workout and enjoying myself. Unless someone comes near me and then I get annoyed. But that's just me. That's different, that's trauma response. I'm like, why are you in my bubble? And apparently I have a bigger bubble than average. I don't know why, could be ASD. Could be trauma, could be fucking anything. It's been a shit show. Anyway, so, I don't like people near me in the gym. I'm like, please, 20 meters that way. And don't look at me. It's very strange. Because everyone wants to be friendly, and I'm like, I'm not while I'm doing this, okay? Not while I'm doing this. But they'll see me at a distance, I'll be bopping along, and I look happy, and they'll be, oh yeah, she's nice and friendly, and then they come near me, I'm like, fuck off. I feel bad for them, kind of. Anyway, motivation. What motivates me to go to the gym? Besides a shitload of pre-workout and being able to look stupid while I do stuff, I actually do find it funny. I do, because I've got those people in the gym that take it intensely seriously, and they're wearing their black hoodies, and they're being all grunty and sounds like a whale orgy, and they're grunting along and lifting the big weights, and I'm sitting there bopping along. It is usually music that gets me as well. It's a combination of pre-workout, wearing silly outfits, and, you know, the silliness of it, I guess. Pre-workout music and the silliness outfits. I just love that shit. It's the ridiculousness of it. People take it so seriously. So I don't. It's fun. The best experience I have ever had, I think, and I felt bad afterwards a little bit. I was doing deadlifts. Oh no, I wasn't doing the deadlifts. I asked someone if they were finished with the deadlift platform because I wanted to get going with it. It's possibly one of the hardest ones because my hips are fucked. But, you know, and it was a guy who was doing circuits. Now, circuits in particular fuck me off. I hate when people do circuits because it's equipment hoarding. It's always during peak traffic, peak time for gym times. It's like people come up and they start fighting over some area that they've hoarded because I was going to do that next. Like, well, tough shit. I think, and I might be wrong, I might be right, but my ex-husband used to say, if someone's doing circuits during peak time and it's unguarded, take it. I think that is gym etiquette, actually, because no one should be allowed to hoard that much equipment. It's just mean. You're hoarding all the toys. Give up the toys, dude. But it's just mean, because no one can get their set done because you've got 4 areas that you're not using properly anyway. And because you've draped your towel over one and then fucked off to a completely different area. It's just mean. So anyway, long story short, I asked him if he was using the deadlift platform. Sorry, my stuttered again. And he said no, and then he said very nicely, actually, do you want me to clean it off for you? Because it was all loaded up still. And I said, oh, no, I'm fine, and I'm just going to put some more weight on. And bearing in mind I was wearing pink ballet Barbie tights, you know, I had my hair in pigtails, and the look on his face, I was priceless. I loved it. Because I did, I put more weight on. And I'm like, what the fuck? And he had his mates around too. It's kind of mean, I shouldn't be, but then again, it's like, dude, you're bigger than me, you should be doing more than me. This guy was like 6 foot something. I'm 5'4". I come up to his nipple, you know, it's you should be lifting heavier than me. You've got the frame for it, you've got the size for it, you know. And then I start putting on, you know, another 20 kilos on the fucking deadlift platform going, I think bodily I'm more like a Shetland pony. I don't think I'm any kind of, you know, I'm built for sturdiness. I'm not one of those wispy ladies that are like willowy. I'm 5'4". I'm like a corgi. Yeah, I'm like a lifting buff corgi. That's the one. I eat food and I bite people. Yeah, I guess. But I just found the hilariousness of the situation as a motivating thing because, you know, I didn't want to hurt his feelings, but at the same time I thought, you can and should be doing heavier than this. What is going on here, guy? It's crazy. That was funny. His friends took the piss out of him too. I felt bad about that. I'm going, I'm sorry, but I do need to put... And it was nice that he wanted to clean it off. I always, you know, he's a good guy for that. Because some guys just leave the deadlift platform and it's loaded up with this huge-ass weight. You can't even get the fucking weights off. You're like, fucking guy. That's one of my pet peeves. If you ever get a chance, go and listen to the podcast, gym assholes that I've done. It's like there's like an array of assholes that I really hate. You could probably add some more to it, to be honest. Everyone's got their own unique experience. Most people for the gym go there for like health reasons. Maybe they want to lose some fat, maybe they want to build some muscle. I go there for mental health, which is why I take it not as seriously. I take people getting in my bubble more seriously than I do, you know, trying to get my personal peanut butter, you know, my best PB. I've been doing the same X4 exercises for years now. I've just been varying the weight. I've been going up in weights, but it's to elevate myself so I can deal with my PTSD whilst I'm in the gym, instead of having to deal with the fucking craziness that happens in the classroom. If it's not elevated and de-elevated in a separate area away from kids, I'm worried that I could, lose my shit in the classroom I don't want to do that. That's never been anything I wanted to do. Even when I have to, get a bit loud and because the kids are kicking off the crazy, I can feel my mum in the back of my head. So I'm like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to be my mum. So I'm going to avoid that at all costs and keep a very calm, stable approach to things. So that's my goal, is to not freak out. Plus, like, my PTS is horrible when it gets going. If I've gone too hard or gone too far, and I'll know because I always get a tremor in my right hand, and you'll see me watching my right hand as a signal, because I know the next thing that comes after the tremor in my right hand is my lungs give up. And I could be mid fucking weighted squat and I would stop breathing and then I can't get the bar back up. And that's not good because then my breathing stops and then my muscles freeze because I don't have the flight reflex. I have the fight or freeze reflex. I've just missed the other ones for some reason. So, it is a bit of a shit fight. But that's the reason why I go to the gym. I don't go for really help. Anything like muscle building or anything like that, because I do have to keep pushing up in the weight classes, is a bonus. I'm quite happy with my arms at the moment. My ass is ridiculous. I don't like that. But that's my very English ass. We've been genetically designed to hide that ass for years, damn it. And then suddenly the Americans turned up and said, "You need a giant ass." And we said, "Fuck no." We've been interbred for small asses. But that's the thing. It's like, I don't go to show off. I don't go to attract guys. Oh, fuck me. I hate guys. And most of the guys in the gym are just gross, man. They're doing it wrong. They got no etiquette or manners. If I could, I'd have a home gym, to be honest. I would, just to avoid people. But it's stupid. It's like some guys go there to make friends and there's always this big group of like 20-something guys in the gym. And they're all laughing and loud, and loud's not good for me because fucking trauma. And so I'm dealing with that while I'm in there as well. It's not just a case of, guess what, you're wearing spandex and everyone can see your butt. So you're dealing with that. Plus the noise. Plus the actual weightlifting itself. Plus that I don't want people in my bubble. And I've got hypervigilance, so I know where everyone is in the fucking gym. Plus the creepers. There's a pot-bellied, skinny old guy who sits there in pensive mode while everyone else is at the gym in between sets, and he'll stare at you. He'll pretend he's not, but he's like standing there holding his fucking chin with a crossed arm, and you're like, you are staring at everyone, and it is creepy as shit. There's so many things that will elevate PTS in a gym. And I'm only going there mainly for the fucking weights. I'm just trying to get my fucking brain together. So, if you ever, see me rage quit, it's probably because it's just too stimulating. There's too many people or too many noises or too... Fuck me. When I was doing deadlifts at the start, like at the very start when I started, I couldn't have the fan on because it was just too much. I would have the fan right... not near me, but it's in the corner and like near the deadlift platform. And it was just too much. So as soon as I'd go in, I'd turn the fan off and it would piss a few people off. But I'm like, dude, if I drop this because a fan touched, like the breeze from a fan touched me, you're not going to like it either. And if I can't get my set done, it's going to be even worse for when I get to work. So I'd turn it back on after me. But it was stupid little things like that. It's just too overwhelming. Now I purposely turn the fan on because I want to overstimulate myself. Because if I keep elevating myself in a separate area, I can deal with what's happening in the classroom a bit better. So that's my motivator for the gym. There's lots of reasons. Some people are financially motivated. Some people can just go to work for the money and it's fine. Some people can be married to people for money and it's fine and they don't care and they don't get emotionally invested in it, but they're paid for and stuff like that. I can't do that. I can't do that. Money is not worth the emotional damage you can make on someone for the sake of sticking around in a toxic environment. To me, it's just not. even if I had my ex-husband turning up, you know, in a week or so saying, I won lotto, I want to remarry you and make this okay because I feel bad and I'm going to, you know, whip you off to fucking Venice or some shit, which I do want to go to Venice before it sinks. But it wouldn't work. I couldn't say yes because I know what kind of a person he was. You know, no amount of money is going to fix that. No amount of money is going to make him a good person or, you know, fix, you know, the pain and the hurt he caused by completely dropping my life out of the arse. Which is why I don't understand why people get compensated with money in lawsuits and things like that as well. It's like, you think about like when Prince Andrew, oh no, not even him really, like Epstein, this woman that went after Prince Andrew and Epstein, and she got compensated with millions. I'm sitting there going, you still got like raped and shit, dude. That doesn't make up for it. It's still pain. It's like, yeah, but I got paid. It's like, that's not the same. It's not the same. It doesn't make up for it. I can't understand why people think it does. It's absurd. Maybe I'm too literal thinking in this. Maybe I need to be more abstract. I'm sitting there going, if someone's raped you, then shouldn't it be done back? No, I don't know. To get the same effect? No? Are we going for authenticity here or not? No, I can just pay. So basically that tells me that someone can pay to rape someone and get away with it. Doesn't that seem weird to anyone else? That's weird. You can commit a crime as long as you got the money to pay for it at the end in a very, you know, Catholic penance kind of way, say a couple of rosaries, you can get away with it. That's insane. Why would you do that? I mean, Epstein I think he got murdered, to be honest. I don't think he actually killed himself. I think the guards turned their eye and he got fucked up. But it doesn't seem right. And it's not the same weight either of thing. Money will not weigh the same as, you know, morally, ethically, the same as being raped. It just doesn't fit the shoe, you know? It doesn't make sense. Yeah. But then again, I'm not the kind of person that can be bought for money anyway, because I was taught against that sort of thing, wasn't it? If someone can buy you, then you're in their pocket, so you don't mix business with pleasure. That's weird. Anyway, I'm nearly at work, so I'm going to have to wrap this up soon. Motivating. What can be motivating? What is a nice way of motivating someone? Let's leave that as a finishing note. Nice way. I would love to ennoble it in saying I'm doing it for the future betterment of humanity. But I've seen so many businesses use that same line and then, you know, profit of it. So, and I'm not anti-capitalist. I'm just saying that if you're gonna bullshit people, let's be honest about it. So we're doing it for the betterment of humanity, Elon Musk. We're sending people into space. It's like, no, you're sending you into space and a bunch of your rich friends while everybody gets fucked on Earth by shit you made. So I just find that weird. I want to say it's something nice, but you know, I don't know. What can we do it for? Moral justice, maybe. We should go for that. What's a moral justice motivator? But then again, you've got like Black Lives Matter, and apparently they made a shitload of money off that. But that's bandwagoning. It started off with the right idea, and then someone got hold of it and corrupted it, which happens quite a bit. Strangely. Which is sad. I'm thinking, all right, so let's set some guidelines. If you're going to be motivated, first of all, it needs to be a do no harm thing. No one should be getting hurt because you're motivated to do something. I think that's a ground rule first and foremost. It should be constructive. You should be looking at what will be the outcome of it, not just a case of I'm going to ego serving shit. It should be, you know, it should be holistic. You're not just out there to stroke your ego, to prove to someone that you're better than them. It should be doing something because it needs to be done, really, doesn't it? I mean, if you need to go to the gym, it's because you've got health issues or something, or mental health issues even. If you're making money, it's because you want to go and help someone. It's not just for the sake of hoarding. That fucks it up. Or, you know, just getting attention because you want people to like you. No amount of, you know, because you're still going to have haters even when you do make a shitload of money. Look at the Kardashians. It's like they think that it's a popularity contest. And most of that shit, the updoots they've got on, you know, anything that they've made, the approval, they probably bought, which is absurd because it feeds into the brand and they keep perpetuating the popularity of the brand, which is just like, it's like inflation. I'm trying to think of what they called it before. I saw this thing before where it's fake, but it's fake approval and they paid for it. You know, like likes on Instagram and stuff like that. And that sort of drives other people to like it because they assume that the initial people liked it, although the initial people never existed. So does that make sense to you? I don't know. But it's stuff like that. It shouldn't be stuff like that. That stuff fails. Ultimately, likes on Instagram is just, unless you've like modified your Instagram page and every like you get paid for an AdSense thing or something. It's abstract and it doesn't mean anything. It's not worth anything. It's just your ego being served. Likes on Instagram or YouTube or some shit like this. It's not worth anything. And even if you did get money out of it and you're just hoarding it to show everyone how fucking wonderful you apparently are, that just sets you aside from everyone else and nobody's going to want to be around you unless they're going to be feeding off you. So, you know, you got all those hanger-oners who just hang around people because they got money or because they got popularity. It's not really a nice way of doing things because you're not sure if these people actually like you for who you are or because what you can give them. So it's a very hollow victory doing that kind of shit. That's if you ever want to go into that kind of thing. Some people just want to go to the gym or something like that because they just like the gym. You should have intrinsic motivation there. Is it something I like doing just for the sake of I like doing it? Again, setting down the ground rules that it shouldn't harm anyone, right? So what can you do with that is, yeah. If it's transformative as well, I could allow that. People who come from these horrible backgrounds, you should be allowed and should be encouraged to transform your life away from these situations that perpetuate, you know, mental health issues and physical pain, things like that. You hear a lot of stories about refugees where they've come from these horrible experiences and they've seen some fucked up shit and worse things than I've ever been through. And I look at these guys and I go, fucking hell, you've done well to come to a different country and to not want to, first of all, not perpetuate the same shit they've seen. Some of them do come to different countries and they replicate what they've seen and done because it's just seen as normal. If you're angry, sure, you'll run down the street and chase someone with a machete. It's like, actually, no, that's bad. So if you've managed to sort of harmonize your future from, you know, this horrible, tragic past to a more holistic approach to healthy living sort of thing like that, and get away from it and appreciate what you've got in this new country where it's safe and you can build a life, then I, thoroughly encourage that shit. It annoys me when I see people coming from war-torn countries and things like that, and then, you know, not being grateful for what they're being given in this other country. That annoys the shit out of me because, you know, it's so easily done that you just send them the fuck back. I don't know. Maybe it's just my annoyance at ingratitude. Of course, we're not going to send them the fuck back. It's a war zone, not unless they've, you know, done something horrible. Like, you know, terrorist attacks and shit. But at the same time, it's like, you've got to be grateful for any kind of change you make as well. That is a positive one. If you've made a negative change, then you need to realign your values. I say I'm so sorry. It's my brain thinking. It's Monday and I've only had one coffee. So if you're motivated to do anything, make sure that it's a good thing. Don't, you know, go start a mass genocide or anything like that. And I still maintain Hitler was wrong. It's Monday, give me a sec, my brain's not working. It should be a good thing. Try to find ways to be motivated, particularly past 30 is a difficult thing, I think. Because at the same time you're tired, and as I said before, with the manifesting, you got to get your swords into play in tarot terms. Like, you've just got no energy, man. You might have all these great ideas, and you might be annoyed that you didn't do them earlier when you were younger, but you were just farting around because you had your friends and stuff like that. But, you know, if someone suggests to you from a later stage in life that you should be doing these things at this age, try to listen. Take it as friendly criticism, friendly feedback maybe. You know, it's like they're just speaking from a position where they've seen it and done it, and you know, they know better because they might have seen where it's gone at their stage in life, you know. As you get older, the more inclined you are to listen to older people. You're like, you're fucking right at this point. Even my parents were like, don't fuck around, get on with life, and get a job, get all this shit together. And I'm sitting there thinking, I did that in my 20s, and I'm looking at my counterparts now in my late 30s, and I'm going, I'm glad I did that, because otherwise I would be losing my shit. I wouldn't know what to do, and the amount of effort you have to put in at a later date, just because you haven't laid the foundation of, I don't know, going to school or staying around in a job long enough, and it makes it harder to get any other job stuff, because it's all like a knock-on effect. They're looking for people with experience. By 38, if you're a teacher, they're looking for people with experience and advanced qualifications. There might be a blip at the start when you just finish uni that they're looking for graduate teachers, because apparently they have the new information. But if you're in that grey area where you're not full-time employed, it's harder to get a job in that middle section, because you're not a graduate with all the new tricks and stuff, and you don't have the same experience as someone who's been teaching as long as I have. So, and I'm sure that reflects most job positions, for example, where you don't have the experience, but you don't have the new niceness, apparently, which is probably just bandwagoning itself. Don't even get me started about the education system. Yeah, it's harder to motivate yourself to want to do anything extra, which is why I went into sort of extra degrees in that mid-section, just because I wasn't getting a full-time job. So I went into uni again, and I was still working at the same time, so I was working and doing uni. But it's harder to motivate yourself, so nip it in the bud now when you're younger, get your hard stuff out of the way. The smartest guys I went to high school with went off to the mines. That's just our area. You had a couple of options to do. You went into the Navy, you got a shit-ass job working at the local shops. You went into TAFE, you became like a plumber or some shit. Or, usually it was like a welder, actually, funny enough, fitter. Or you went into uni. Or you went off to the mines. Anyone who was smart, when I was coming just out of high school, went into the fucking mines. The next best thing was the Navy, because it was a guaranteed job. TAFE was for the dropouts, because they didn't want to finish high school. So they finished in year 10, went off to do well in job and shit. They might be doing all right, but that's very much like an ebb and flow sort of thing. But the motivated ones were the ones who went for the hard job, because it meant fly out work. But they've got their houses done. They've paid off their houses. They're just living on their, accumulating savings now at this point. So they really had the smart decision. I went off to uni because my parents told me I had to go off to uni. And I can't imagine me as a 19-year-old girl going up to the mines, to be honest. It didn't feel exactly safe. So, and, as much as my family's sort of military-minded, they didn't want me to go off into the forces either. It's very strange conflict of interest there. They said it's not safe for a girl to go off, and obviously it's not safe for anyone really. It's the fucking forces. You go to shoot things and stuff, but it was very weird. But it's nice as you get older. You tend to have your own reasons for motivation, so I think you should work on those a bit more, and you'll find different ways of doing it as well. What was at the first? Maybe you were doing it for popularity, now you're doing it for money, or maybe you're just doing it for peace of mind or something like that. There's many different things you can motivate yourself with. If you're not sure, go and ask someone. Information should be free in that state. I mean, only an asshole would hoard information like that could help someone get out of a horrible circumstance or anything like that. So if you ever get a chance to share information like how you got motivated or something like that, I thoroughly encourage it. I'm going to have to leave it there, guys, because it is... Oh shit, 8:10. I've got to be in my classroom at 8. So, have a great Monday, guys. I'm sure I rambled a bit too much there, so if it's too boring, just turn it off. Have a good one, okay?